Hi everybody and welcome to a Grimdark Future Firefight Battle Report. Robot Legions versus Alien Hives. The Human Defense Force had finally left Crapus 4 and narrowly escaped the underground mine complex in which they were trapped. Now the Prime Brothers were in control of most of the planet and the Human Defense Force had a new task. Surveillance of an old base on the moon Tibish orbiting Crapus 4. The moon base was supposed to be abandoned, but the Human Defense Force drones captured video of light from beneath the surface and inside the buildings. Someone else was definitely interested in the base. Maybe it was a good idea to sit back and watch. Here we have the base complex on the surface of the moon Tibish. Supposedly abandoned, but in the early light of dawn, activity can be monitored. Something is about to happen. A squad of robot legions under the leadership of the robot lord himself. He has a tough value of 3 and he is armed with combat staff. And with him, 2 Tri-Scorpions also with a tough value of 3 and both armed with dual Reaper blades. And finally 2 robot warriors, one with Reaper rifle and one with Ghost rifle. They are slow. All of them are robots and they have regeneration. Approaching from the other side is the Prime Warrior and his alien Hives. He is a hero with a tough value of 2 and with 2 piercing claws. With him, he has a Hive Warrior with a tough value of 3 and 2 razor claws, a Ravenous Beast, again with a tough value of 3 and 2 razor claws, and finally some firepower with the Hive Guardian, armed with heavy Ravager gun and razor claws, tough value of 3 and relentless. There are 5 boxes scattered around the base, each of them marked here with a white die. And all of the boxes can be examined. When a box is opened, a dice roll must be made. On a result of 1 or 2, it's a trap, and the model will take 1d3 of hits. On a 3 or a 4, nothing happens, and on a 5 or 6, the box will contain a relic worth 1 victory point. There will be a maximum of 2 traps and 2 empty boxes, so there will be at least 1 relic, but possibly 5. The buildings on the base can be used for cover, they can also be climbed, and they can be destroyed. But with the exception of the robot warriors, all the models in this battle are too large to enter the buildings. The 2 squads will deploy like this, with the alien Hives in Section A and the robot legions in Section B. And now let's roll off to see who will deploy and activate first. Black dice for the alien Hives, a 3, and red dice for the robot legions. And that's a 1. So the alien Hives will deploy and activate first. The squads have deployed with a good distance between them. They are mostly armed with melee weapons, but there are also units with shooting weapons as the Hive Guardian, for example. And on the other side of the board, the robot legions with the Tri-Scorpions have deployed, so they are able to reach some of the boxes already in the first round. The robot lord has deployed himself with one of the warriors in cover behind the building, and then 1 Tri-Scorpion back here. Now let's begin with round number 1. The Ravenous Beast is the first one to activate. It is fast and has a range of 16 inches, and it's able to run towards the building, climb on top of the building, and reach the first box. And now it's eager to see what's inside. But unfortunately, it's a trap. So now it will take 1d3 hits. And 3 hits against the Ravenous Beast. Really bad luck. It has a defense of 4 and its AP nothing hits, but 3 defense rolls and it makes 2 of them. So the Ravenous Beast will take 1 hit from the booby-trapped box, and then the box will be removed. One of the robot warriors activate next. It advances in cover behind the rock, and from here it can see the ravenous beast, who's now exposed on the roof of the building. One shot with the Gauss rifle from the robot warrior, hitting on a 4. And apparently his aim is not adjusted yet. The Hive Guardian advances and he moves past the box. Maybe he's too afraid to open it. Or maybe he can see the robot warrior from this position. There are obstacles between them and the robot warrior is in cover. But anyway, 3 shots. And for every roll of 6, an additional shot can be made. So here, a roll of 6, so he can try a new shot, but that one fails. And with an AP value of 2, the robot warrior will need a roll of 6 to defend, and he fails that one, and then he'll have a chance to regenerate on a roll of 5 or 6, also fails that. So 1 wound to the robot warrior, and he goes down, and the roll on the wound chart is a 4, so he is stunned. Next to activate is the Tri-Scorpion. He is not slow like his fellow robot legions, but he is just out of charge range of the ravenous beast here on the roof. Instead, he rushes towards the second box, and let's see if he has more luck. He opens the box, hoping for a relic here. But another booby-trapped box explodes right into the face of the Tri-Scorpion. Let's see how many hits. Only 1 hit. And he has a defense of 3. But he can't really shake that bomb off. Let's see if he can regenerate it. And that also fails, so he takes 1 hit from the box here. And with 2 booby-trapped boxes already, at least now we know that there are no further booby traps. The huge Prime Warrior activates. He cannot reach anybody in combat, but he positions himself in the corner of the building. The second Tri-Scorpion rushes towards the building with one of the boxes on the roof. He cannot reach it, but he is closer now. The last alien to activate is the Hive Warrior. He squeezes himself in here between the buildings, also lurking on the box on the roof. The second robot warrior, armed with the Reaper rifle, advances in cover behind these crates, and from here he can target the ravenous beast on the roof. He can also target the Prime Warrior. At the end, he chooses to fire his rifle against the ravenous beast. He will need a 4 to hit, and he hits just fine here. It's an AP2 weapon, so the ravenous beast will need a 6 to defend, and he fails, so 1 additional wound to the sitting duck here on the roof. And last activation of round number 1. The robot lord himself moves behind this building, and he's not able to shoot anybody from here because of his relatively short firing range. So that concludes round number 1. 2 boxes opened, both of them with traps. 3 boxes remaining, and 1 robot warrior went down, and the ravenous beast took a few hits. Now let's see what happens in round number 2. The alien hives will activate first, because they finished first in the previous round, and the Hive Guardian is the first one to activate. He advances to get a clear shot at the already wounded Tri-Scorpion. 3 shots, hitting on 3s, and 2 of them hit. None of them are 6s, so he cannot fire any further, but at least 2, and it's AP2. So the Tri-Scorpion will need 5s to block the hits. And he doesn't block any of them. So 2 wounds potentially for the Tri-Scorpion, and that will take him down. But of course he has a chance to regenerate. So let's see if he can roll a 5 or a 6. And he can roll 1 5, and that means he regenerates 1 of the 2 wounds, but still 1 wound and a total of 2 now. The stunned robot warrior gets back on his feet now, so he is no longer stunned. The ravenous beast has had enough of his position here as a sitting duck on top of the roof. Instead, he jumps down and charges against the Tri-Scorpion. This will be his chance to take him down with 6 Razor Claws attack hitting on 4s. And 3 claws hit the Tri-Scorpions. They are AP nothing, so the Scorpion will defend on a 3. And he makes 2 of his defense rolls, but 1 wound is enough to take him down, unless he can regenerate. And he can, so he is not hit at all. Now he can turn around and hit back. 4 attacks with the dual Reaper blades, hitting on 3s. All of them hit the target, and with AP 2, the poor ravenous beast will need a lot of 6s to survive this. But he's not able to block any of the hits, so 4 wounds to the ravenous beast on top of the 2 he already has. That's a total of 6. So unless he can roll a 1 on the wound chart, this is the end of the beast. And he is definitely shredded to pieces by the dual Reaper blades. A completely failed attack. And goodbye to the ravenous beast. The battle is heating up here in the middle of the moon base. Now the robot warrior with the Reaper rifle advances, and from here he can fire at the Hive Guardian. 1 shot. He needs a 4, but he fails to hit anything. Furious with anger, the Prime Warrior activates and makes a clever and surprising attack move. He charges around the tower in the middle of the base and charges the Tri-Scorpion and the Robot Warrior. First, 4 piercing claw attacks against the Tri-Scorpion, hitting on 4s. And 3 hits, 2 of them are rending. And then 4 piercing claw attacks against the Robot Warrior. And again, 3 hits, none of them are rending though. First, the Robot Warrior will try to defend the 3 hits. He will need a 5 to defend, and he fails all of them. So now he has to hope for regeneration, and he makes 1, but still 2 wounds to the Robot Warrior. And that will, of course, take him down. Now we will see his fate with a roll on the wound chart. He rolls a 4, and added to the 2 wounds, it's a total of 6, and that's enough to take him out. The first part of the Prime Warrior plan worked perfectly. Now it's up to the Tri-Scorpion to see what he can do. He will begin with defense rolls of the rending hits. He will need a 6, and he is very far from defending these, but he defends the regular hit here. Now he is in trouble because rending hits cannot be regenerated, so he will take 2 additional wounds. He goes down, and now he will need a roll of 3 or less to avoid being knocked out as well. And with a 2, he is stunned but heavily wounded. The Prime Warrior backs off towards the tower here, and immediately after the Tri-Scorpion activates, and he is no longer stunned. He cannot do anything else. And now it's the Hive Warrior. He moves clear of the buildings here and towards the 3rd box. We know it cannot be another trap, but what will it be? Absolutely nothing. An empty box. So, still no relics to be found. Only 2 boxes left at the base now, and the Tri-Scorpion activates and jumps on the roof to check out one of them. Let's see. And again, absolutely nothing, just an empty box. And since there must be at least 1 relic on the moon base, we now know that the box on top of the tower in the middle of the base complex will contain the relic. The Robot Lord moves closer to the middle of the complex. On this side of the building, he will be able to take a shot at the Hive Guardian. 3 shots with his combat staff, and he will need force because of the obstacles and cover in between them. So 1 shot with his combat staff hits the target. It's an AP1 weapon, so the Hive Guardian will block it with a 4. And he fails, so 1 wound to the Hive Guardian. And that concludes round number 2. 2 more boxes were opened, but they contained absolutely nothing. So the box here in the middle of the base will contain the relic, but who will get it first? The Ravenous Beast and 1 Robot Warrior were eliminated this round, and then one of the Tri-Scorpions is heavily wounded. Now let's go to round number 3. First one to activate is the Hive Guardian, pointing its Ravager gun at the already wounded Tri-Scorpion. 3 shots, no cover, so hitting on 3s. 2 hits and then 1 more shot because of the relentless special rule. So let's see. No, 2 shots and 2 hits. And with AP2, the Tri-Scorpion will have to roll a 5 to block. And with 1 and 4, he fails both of the defense rolls. And what about the regeneration rolls? Also a miserable fail here from the Tri-Scorpion. So 2 additional wounds take him into 6. So he will need a 1 now. And unfortunately a 2. So the Tri-Scorpion is shot down and eliminated by the Hive Guardian. But revenge is just around the corner. The Robot Lord advances, and now he can shoot at the Hive Guardian at point blank range. He uses his combat staff. 3 shots, also hitting on 3s. And 2 hits. The combat staff is AP1, so the Hive Guardian will have to roll 4s to defend. And at least 1 here and 2 good defense rolls, so no wounds to the Hive Guardian. The Prime Warrior will be the next one to activate, and it rushes up the stairs and up to the top of the tower where the crate with the relic is located. No need to roll, we know it's there, but now the Prime Warrior controls it. The Robot Warrior immediately reacts, seeking cover behind the rock, and then he can see and shoot at the Prime Warrior who is exposed at the top of the tower. So he rolls and shoots, but fails with a 2. The Hive Warrior moves closer to the center of the battlefield here. He tries to stay in cover behind this building, but he cannot shoot anybody because he has no long-range weapons. Finally, the remaining Tri-Scorpion activates. He is on the roof of the building, but he moves down and he moves closer, but he cannot reach the Prime Warrior in the tower. He cannot reach anybody else, so he tries to get into a better position. And that was the final activation of the 3rd round. It's not looking all that good for the Robot Legions. The Prime Warrior has captured the objective. He is on top of the tower exposed, but with a tough value of 6, he will also be difficult to take down. Let's see if they can do it in round number 4. The Robot Lord once again points his combat staff, but this time at the Prime Warrior. He's just within the 12 inches of firing range. So 3 shots now, and he needs 3s, so he makes all 3 of the shots here. The Prime Warrior has a defense of 4, so he will need 5s now to block these 3 shots. And what a roll here, he blocks 2 of them, but still 1 going through, so 1 wound. Still 5 left. The Hive Warrior activates and attacks the Tri-Scorpion. He has 6 attacks with his Razor Claws, hitting on 4s. And that's not too good. Hitting on 3 out of the 6 attacks. It's AP nothing, so the Tri-Scorpion will defend with 3s. And he defends 2 of them easily, leaving only 1 potential wound, but he has a chance to regenerate. And he doesn't. So 1 wound for the Tri-Scorpion, but he can fight back now. Question is, does he want to fight back? No, not really. The Hive Warrior backs off 1 inch, and then he has his full attack and is not fatigued. And there is a reason for that. Because now the Tri-Scorpion moves away from the Hive Guardian, he enters the tower. The space is limited. For cinematic purposes, they will both be on top of the tower, but he can reach and he can attack the Prime Warrior. Hitting on 3s, 4 attacks, and he fell down. But what a roll! All 4 attacks hit. So now the Prime Warrior will have to defend on 6s to avoid being hit by the dual Reaper Blades. And he fails all of them. So 4 devastating hits against the Prime Warrior. Now he fights back. 8 attacks, but hitting on 4s with his piercing claws. And he only makes 2 of them. 1 of them is rending though, but only 2 hits against the Tri-Scorpion. He will be able to survive if he blocks at least 1 of them. So he will begin with the rending hit first. He will need a 6 to block, and he fails, and that one cannot be regenerated. And then the regular hit, AP1, so he will need a 4, and that one is good. So he is hit only once. And in the tower he will back off 1 inch, though it can't really be seen here. So next up, the Hive Guardian. He moves closer. What's his plan here? To take out the warrior or maybe to target the Robot Lord? And he decides to take down the Robot Warrior with his 3 shots. Hitting on 4s here because of the cover. So 2 shots make the target. And again AP2, the Robot Warrior will need 6s. And he makes none of them. So maybe he can regenerate. No, and yes. So 1 hit and 1 wound. That takes him to 2, and he will have to roll on the wound chart to see what happens. Is he stunned or taken out? He is knocked out with a roll of 5 and removed from the battlefield. And that will end this battle, because the Robot Legions will have no chance to take the relic from the Prime Warrior. He can move down from the tower, and the Robot Legions won't really have to make their morale check, because they are now below half strength, because they will lose anyway. The alien Hive forces entered the moon base. They found the relic, and they now control the relic as well as the base. And they are victorious and have defeated the Robot Legions. But the Human Defense Force spy drones still fly over the complex. They now know that if they want the relic, they will have to move in with a special operation and take down the alien hives and the Prime Warrior. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you'll join me for future bat reps.